Hey everyone, it's Jack from Cultaholic back once again, and we're going to talk about another one of those lovely premium live events. This time, as always, there is a lot to discuss from the second Big Four pay-per-view of the Triple H era. We've got 2 WarGames matches, we've got title matches to discuss, we've got so many things, so let's talk about it right now. This is what happened at WWE Survivor Series WarGames. First up, it is the Women's WarGames match with Team Bianca, which is the Raw Women's Champion, Bianca Belair, Asuka, Alexa Bliss, Mia Yim, and Becky Lynch making her return, taking on the heel team of Rhea Ripley, Nikki Cross, Dakota Kai, Io Sky, and Bayley. They go over the rules at the start, and credit is given to Dusty Rhodes for inventing the match, and then we start things off with Bianca Belair and Dakota Kai. Back and forth they go, but Bianca manages to get the advantage just before the first time period is up, powerbombing Dakota into the side of the cage very painfully indeed, but here comes Io, and the heels take control. Asuka is next, and she runs wild with Bianca. They give each other a big high five. Yeah, they're in top form, but then here comes Nikki for the heel team, and she brings weapons into the mix, kendo sticks and trash can lids. She is crazy. Bliss is next in. She almost trips over a camera cable on the ramp, and she is fuming. Look at that. In the ring, Bianca takes a kendo stick out of Nikki Cross's hands and breaks it over her knee. So Nikki runs away, but she doesn't run away. She runs upwards. She climbs to the top of the cage. Bianca starts whipping opponents with her hair braid, so Nikki just leaps off the top onto everybody with a big cross body. That stops Bianca in her tracks, and now Bayley is next into the ring, and she brings in a pair of ladders and a table. She's followed shortly thereafter by Mia Yim, who does a nice spear from one of the rings into the other one through the gap in the middle. Very unique spot. I can't remember seeing it in WarGames before. I liked it. We then get Rhea Ripley in, who dominates for a while until Mia Yim tries for another spear, but gets caught in between the 2 rings this time and attacked with a trash can lid. A nice twist on a unique spot that we've only just seen. I enjoyed that one as well. Becky Lynch finally makes her big return to action, and she runs wild. She has a showdown with Bayley, then a showdown with Rhea Ripley, which the crowd really enjoy, and Rhea hits her with the Riptide, but it only gets 2. Asuka then mists Ripley while Bayley hits the Rose Plant on Becky Lynch in the middle metal bit between the 2 rings. Ouch. A huge Tower of Doom spot is set up, but Nikki hits Bianca with a kendo stick when she tries to topple it over. This leaves Io free to climb all the way to the top and nail an insane moonsault all the way down onto Bianca and Mia Yim. Nikki then gets a pair of handcuffs and screams at Bliss about how they used to be friends and everything, and then they fell out. She tries to handcuff Bliss to the cage, but instead Bliss handcuffs them together and takes both down, herself and Nikki, with a big electric chair drop. And they're both down on the canvas and handcuffed together. From this moment on, they are both effectively out of this match. The same happens to Mia Yim and Rhea Ripley a few seconds later when Mia puts Rhea in a sleeper, but then Ripley dives and drives both of them through a ladder in the corner, and they're both out of the match as well. This all leaves Bianca and Becky to face off against all 3 members of Damage Control, and they all get into a big brawl. Bianca hits the KOD on Bayley into the cage wall, while Becky scales the cage and leaps off with a huge leg drop from the top through both members of Damage Control remaining, through a pair of tables, and she pins Dakota Kai, and the babyface team gets the win. Backstage we go to the Bloodline's locker room, where Jey Uso tells Roman about what he heard on SmackDown the night before, his fears that Sami will listen to Kevin Owens and turn on the Bloodline. Roman tells Jey not to worry because he's going to look Sami in the eyes and he'll know the truth. He then tells Paul Heyman to fetch him Sami Zayn. The next match is a battle of former Bullet Club leaders, of course, AJ Styles versus Finn Balor. Balor makes his entrance with that weird blank mask of his, and AJ has a sick OC mask. Oh, he's one up to you there. Styles takes control early on, working the leg of Balor, but then Balor works back into the match and looks to grind AJ down very heelishly, but then Styles gets back into the match and goes for the Styles Clash. Balor reverses and goes to stomp AJ, but AJ rolls out the way and Balor jams his leg into the canvas. More leg damage for Finn Balor. And even more after a dragon screw in the ropes from AJ Styles, who then goes for the phenomenal forearm, but Dom Mysterio pulls him off the apron while Priest distracts the referee. referee. Boo. This all leads to a brawl on the outside with the OC getting involved as well, and everybody battles into the crowd. Back in the ring, AJ and Balor continue to go back and forth. Balor goes for the Styles Clash, looking to steal AJ's finisher, but AJ reverses it into the calf crusher, but Balor kicks him away, and they both trade Pele kicks. They are so well matched. Later on, Balor misses the coup de grace, and AJ locks in the calf crusher. Finn very nearly taps, but eventually AJ cranks back too far, so Finn can grab his head and bash it into the mat to get out of the submission hold. They're both down, they slowly rise to their feet, and both men have a big strike exchange, which AJ wins. He goes to the apron, goes for the phenomenal forearm, and just hits it, and gets the win. Which, I mean, this was a good match. It just felt like the finish was a little bit out of nowhere because there'd been so many counters. So to see AJ just go for a finisher and hit it felt a bit weird. But AJ gets a rather much needed win over Finn Balor. And it was a good match between two very good wrestlers. Next, we have the SmackDown Women's title match with the champion Ronda Rousey taking on the challenger Shotzi, or Shotzi Blackheart. I can't remember if she uses her surname again or not. Shotzi starts off hot with right hand straight away, but Ronda counters with hip tosses and an ankle lock. Shotzi rolls out though and carries on her hot start to the match with a big dive to the outside, but Shayna Baszler shoves Ronda out of the way and takes the bullet for her friend. Shotzi stays on top of things though and leaps from the top rope, and Ronda hits like a strange counter. It almost looks like a hip toss countering the crossbody from Shotzi. It actually looks much better on the replay, which really shows how impressive it was, but in real time, the crowd don't quite know what to make of it. But it's the turning point nevertheless for Ronda, who starts showboating and flexing, but then Shotzi catches her with a flash right hand out of nowhere on the apron, and Ronda is down and out. Shotzi follows up with a DDT on the apron, but unfortunately it's not great. Both women spill to the outside. Shotzi throws Ronda into the front row, and Shayna as well, who keeps getting involved and really is lucky not to be DQ'd by the ref, I have to say. Shotzi then climbs up on the crowd barricade and hits a big crossbody which takes out both of her foes, and a row of plants as well in the crowd. I hope they're plants at least, otherwise that's going to be some legal action. No, they were definitely 100% plants. Back in the ring, Ronda hits an arm drag from the top rope, then Piper's Pit, and finally locks on the arm bar for the submission victory, and as most of us expected, I think, Ronda Rousey retains the SmackDown Women's title. Back we go again to the Bloodline's locker room where Sami meets with Roman Reigns. Roman asks him, "Did you talk to Kevin Owens last night?" Sami admits that he did, but says that it was Owens who approached him and wanted him to turn on the Bloodline, but he would never do that. Reigns says he needs Sami to let him know right now if he's with the Bloodline or if he's going to stab them in the back, and Sami promises that he is loyal to Roman. He says that being in the Bloodline means the world to him. Roman stands up and says, "Bring it in." He gives Sami a big hug, but out of Sami's view, Roman's smile fades away. Uh-oh. Next up is the US title triple threat match. Coming into this one, I thought that maybe Theory had a sneaky chance of winning, but then his entrance is used for a sick Beyblade advert on the Tron, so I quickly lost confidence at this point. Anyway, it's Austin Theory versus Bobby Lashley versus the champion, Seth Rollins. Let it rip! Early on, Lashley and Seth take turns clotheslining Theory out when he tries to get involved. It's very much Seth versus Lashley, and they're treating Austin Theory as an afterthought. Rollins gets the better of Bobby with his speed and evasiveness early on, but then Theory reminds them, "No, I'm in this match as well," sweeping Seth off the apron. Bobby starts to dominate both men as the largest competitor in the match, throwing them into each other and so on. He goes to pin Seth at one point, but Theory pulls out the referee. The action spills to the outside, and once again Theory strays outside of the rules, although there are no DQs technically in a triple threat, so he gets away with it, using the ring steps to take out both opponents. Later on, back in the ring, Seth goes for the stomp on Theory, but Lashley pulls Theory out of the way and puts Seth in the hurt lock, and then Theory jumps on Lashley's back and puts him in a sleeper. It all breaks down from there, and Seth hits the pedigree on Lashley, who kicks out at 2. Seth then misses a Phoenix Splash attempt, and Theory throws him out the ring before trying to hit A-Town down on Lashley, but Lashley slips out the back and locks in the hurt lock. Theory does the Bret Hart reversal, kicking off the turnbuckles to roll into a pinfall attempt, but then Seth breaks that up with a splash for 2 of his own. It's a very frantic and dramatic sequence of events there. Theory then goes for the pedigree on Rollins, who tries to counter it into A-Town down on Theory, stealing each other's signature moves there, but then Lashley locks in the hurt lock on both men at the same time. Seth manages to get out of that and then hits what I can only describe as like a stepping stone stomp, kicking off Theory's back, using him as a platform to stomp Bobby Lashley. Seth then goes for his superplex Falcon Arrow combination on Theory, but mid-move, Lashley spears Rollins, and then Theory collapses on top of Seth for the opportunistic pinfall to become United States Champion. Pinning Seth, yes, pinning the champion, but it was Lashley who hit the spear, so both men have grievances there with Theory, who once again is the United States Champion. And finally, it's the men's WarGames match. The Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Sami Zayn, Solo Sikoa, and the Usos taking on all three of the Brawling Brutes, Drew McIntyre and Kevin Owens. Butch and Jey Uso start off for their respective teams, each daring the other one to make the first move from separate rings. It's Jey who eventually takes the bait, and Butch beats him down. Ridge Holland is the next man in and helps take it to Jey until it's time for Jimmy to join the fray. But hold on a second, because instead of Jimmy, the Bloodline send in a nervous Sami, almost saying like, go on then, show us your loyalty. Work with Jey Uso, who famously Sami does not get along with. But despite this, Sami does all he can to work together with Jey, but Jey isn't exactly happy with Sami and stares him down, which allows Butch to take both men out with a big moonsault. Drew McIntyre is the next man in and starts hurling everyone around until now Jimmy Uso joins the action and brings a few tables with him. Again, Sami and Jey argue over setting up a table of all things, and Jimmy has to hold them apart. Kevin Owens is the next man in, and he gets some chairs involved. He runs wild for a little bit and then comes face to face with his old friend and foe, Sami Zayn, but both men are attacked by each other's teammates before anything can happen. Kevin Owens puts Jimmy Uso through a table shortly before Solo Sikoa enters the match. He no-sells being rammed into the cage wall by Kev. He also no-sells several super kicks before backdropping Owens onto that painful metal center of the two rings. Sheamus is next in, but Sami holds the cage door shut, not letting him into the ring, so Sheamus just yanks it open and slams it on Sami's face. And finally, we get the last man in the match, the leader of the Bloodline, Roman Reigns. All 10 men drag themselves to their feet, square off, and brawl in the middle of the two rings. All 5 of the babyfaces give Sheamus's signature chest beats to all 5 of the heels. Sheamus then nails Solo with a bro kick, but Roman spears Sheamus and the pinfall is broken up just in time. Sami Zayn then attacks Butch, but Butch ducks a Jey Uso super kick from nowhere, which accidentally hits Sami. Could cracks now be forming in the Bloodline? The Usos hit an avalanche 1D to Butch, and Roman spears Ridge Holland through a table in the corner, with the Bloodline now taking control of the match. Solo slams Drew McIntyre through a table, but gets stunned by Kevin Owens, who then squares off with Roman Reigns and slaps him in the face. They go back and forth, with Owens avoiding a spear and nailing Roman with the pop-up powerbomb and the stunner. Could Owens be about to pin Roman Reigns? 1, 2, and Sami Zayn catches the referee's arm, preventing him from counting the 3. Sami and Owens stare at each other for a long time until Jimmy Uso goes for a super kick to Kev. Kev catches it, but Sami nails his old friend with a low blow. Zayn looks momentarily conflicted, but then looks at a downed Roman, who looks back at him, gives him a nod, and Sami nails Kevin Owens with a huge haluva kick. Sami then drags Owens into the middle of the ring, looks at Jey Uso as if to say, go on then, there's my loyalty, and Jey Uso nails Owens with the splash for the 1, 2, 3. The Bloodline win, and Sami Zayn, he was loyal all along. After the bell, Roman hugs it out with Sami, and so too does Jey Uso. Wow, the Bloodline looks stronger than ever. Sami has not broken apart from the group, as many of us suspected before this show, including myself. And I don't know where we go from here, but it's certainly an interesting development. And that is it for WWE Survivor Series WarGames. Let me know what you thought of the show in the comments section down below. And thank you very much for watching this video. Thank you to Owen and Luke for editing those chunky WarGames matches, as well as everything else we've talked about in this video too. And once again, do leave your thoughts below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you very soon.